as the sun, I feel what you don't say. Scorpio moon, I see through the gray. I'm tuned to your soul, I read the unseen. 8th house mind, 12th house dreams. Tarot in my hands, planets in my sight. I decode the dark, turn shadow to light.
Hello, welcome. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. This week, we don't have a settled week, okay? It's not business as usual. We are doing the transits for the 19th, which was yesterday, because it was a holiday. I was off, but we're going to discuss that. And all the way to the 26th. And this is going to be Aquarius energy completely, okay? It's activating themes of truth, rebellion, strikes, power, collective awakening, fighting for the people, fighting for some type of cause, okay? And the sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Pluto are going to light up in that sign, Aquarius, bringing revelations, confrontations, maybe a transformation of some sort. Mars changes signs too. Mercury delivers a message we can't ignore. Neptune enters Aries. That's a big doozy. We'll talk about that briefly. This week we are going to just get ready for the future. The future is here. Okay, I'm going to break it down. Let me pull up the dates. Okay, hopefully this is January. Yes, it is. Okay, so the dates that we are discussing: January 19th, the sun enters Aquarius. Then Venus conjuncts Pluto, and Mars in Capricorn trines Uranus retrograding in Taurus. On the 20th, that's when Mercury will enter Aquarius. As of yesterday, Mercury caused a lot of ruckus. Okay, we'll talk about that. And the 29th, Mercury in Aquarius is conjunct the sun. That is a Kazemi. That's a big deal. That happens that day. You will feel it that day. On the 22nd, then Mercury will conjunct Pluto, and they're all sitting close together. So, I'm just saying this for semantics, but really, they're all sitting close together. So they are all doing the same thing. Okay. Now, January 23rd, then Mars will enter the picture of Aquarius, and then Mars will be sitting next to Pluto and the sun. I'll show you the chart. If you're listening, just picture it in your head. They're in one sign, they're going to the next. So we're in one energy as of yesterday. Now we're in this energy because yesterday the sun entered Aquarius, and the sun will then conjunct Pluto, causing a highlight of some sort. We'll see what that highlights. On the 26th of January, which is next Monday, Neptune will enter Aries. I'll talk about that briefly because that's technically next week, but we are here. So if you guys didn't forget, before I even start talking about the transits and breaking them down, don't forget to thumbs up this video. If you are listening to this episode via podcast, please give it a good rating, share, download this. Apparently, I think the downloads really help me. But sharing it, if you love astrology, if you love tarot, if you love predictions, if you love what I talk about, if you like me in particular, please show me some love, send me my flowers, and it even helps if you write a comment down below, even if you're listening to this via podcast. Okay, now let's get into the dates of things. I'm going to pull up my chart, and for everyone listening, then I'm going to tell you what we're looking at. Why is my chart a no-go? Let me pull up, share my screen. Thanks to the power of Zoom, everyone knows everything now, like how to do things. It is so crazy. What did we do before Zoom, you guys? I don't know. But these things were invented before Zoom, but I think I needed the Zoom class before knowing how to operate it. Anyway, okay. So I'm basically just sharing my screen. Now, we are going to look at, today's the 20th, but I want to go back to the 19th. So let me bring up the 19th, and I'll be back tomorrow. Yes, I will, because we have to talk about February transits. I always like to do that around the 20th and give you the predictions. If you are in my paywall, you already got the tea on that, on the predictions of February. In my group, I talk about the best dates, to do certain things like have parties, launch a business, do some business, spirituality stuff, all that manifestation. I talk about all that in my group. So if you want to be a part of that, it's just a price of a cup of coffee, cheaper than a cup of coffee because coffee is expensive now. Okay. So yeah, so now here we are. We are going to talk about January 19th first because I wasn't here yesterday. I did put it in my newsletter. So if you want the transits and you want them written down, besides paying for it, you can get it free by joining my newsletter. Okay. So I did post it in my newsletter yesterday, but here we are. Now, the sun, as of yesterday, was in Capricorn. And there was an urgency to shut things out, and then it turned into Aquarius later on that day. Now, when the sun enters Aquarius, and that's what we are experiencing right now, happy solar return to all of my Aquarius. Okay. You are people who bring clarity and they think outside of the box. They bring all that energy. So get ready for that. When the when sun is in the sign Aquarius, we get radical authenticity. We are choosing truth over everything. There is detachment for a lot of things because you want clarity, you want the truth. So there's a little sense of coldness when it comes to emotions. We're breaking social norms, doing things our own way. However, we do care about the collective and the group. There is community over ego. There is a collective power. This is the opposite sign of the Leo. The Leo cares about themselves, and the show is about themselves. Aquarius energy cares about the people. Future vision energy, long-term thinking, innovative, progress, space, science, AI, Waymos, Teslas. That was yesteryear. We are on to the future, okay? Intellectual independence, thinking for yourself as well. Very stubborn. Fixed sign is an air sign. So a lot of communication, higher octave than Mercury, which basically means social media to the utmost. Okay. Technology, social media, AI, digital spaces, friendships over romance, bonds based on ideas and shared values. And this is where that energy of you don't agree with me, we cannot be friends. That is where that energy comes from. That is that Aquarius energy. Okay. Freedom as priority and a lot of independence. Now, this same day that the sun here enters Aquarius, you see it sits very close to Mercury at 0 degrees. And it also sits close to Pluto at 3 degrees. And Venus is sitting very close to Pluto. Okay, so we have all this energy happening literally today, the 20th, as I'm filming this. So we'll first talk about Venus and Pluto since they're sitting so close to each other. We'll talk about them first. This is a radical shift in love and values. You want your freedom. There is some intense connection at the same time because Pluto brings the intensity, but there's some clarity, there's some truth. It could be some power dynamics that could be dealing with. AI, social media. Maybe someone's obsessed with you online and they're just like a fanatic online. Detachment meets obsession, craving freedom while feeling deeply pulled. Unconventional love stories is what you get with this because Aquarius likes to be very different. It's very non traditional. You're talking about age gap, you're talking about polygamy, you're talking about online AI, long distance relationships, falling in love with a robot. You get that over this. Relationships are only going to survive with this energy today. Okay, not today, but for some time. So, being authentic, you're probably already feeling this. Now, Venus is not just about love, because that's what I was talking about. Relationships, female friendships, what you're attracted to. You're attracted to this energy that is very informative and deep, not surface level, and also very sciency, basically astrology. Okay, but also too, there is collective value reset. And as far as money, you are thinking about beauty and money, but it's transformative because that Pluto brings the intensity and it transforms things. At the same time, it's very out of the box and different. And you care about the people. Friendships to lovers, lovers to strangers, sudden shifts in relationships. Pluto brings a rebirth, it brings a change in Venus. So it's going to bring a change in relationships. Now, Pluto was minding his business. Venus was coming to hang out with Pluto. So that means Venus energy will be stronger. So there will be a change in because Pluto represents rebirth or transformation, going through the dark to see the light. So there is that, but there's a strong theme of relationships, the uterus, okay, because Venus represents uterus. Also, the energy of females, teams, beauty, aesthetics, inner harmony. There could be some liberation here, some type of social party change at the same time, collectively. This could be a change with a major shakeup with social platforms. Maybe the algorithm is a little bit different. There's something that could be Pluto represents the mysteries and the secrets. So it could be exposing anything dealing with money, anything dealing with beauty and aesthetics, anything dealing with financial anything, but it's more digital because it has that Aquarius energy. There could be a shift from relationships that are very normal, marriage, dating, gender roles, partnerships. Let's see what's on the news. And they're saying, like, no, we're not going to embrace that anymore. We're going to be falling in love with something else, something different. I just think of falling in love with machines, okay? Tech, beauty, money industries could be working with anything that's dealing with the future. So, like, makeup robots or like magnetic makeup or something like that could be happening with this transit. Financial disruption in tech. Now, conjunctions are strong. So they're sitting close to each other. They're strong. Not necessarily, we don't know if it's good or bad, but they are strong. Now, most likely they're sitting at 3 degrees. This is something dealing with, even though I know this says 4, but this is something dealing with communication, siblings, your neighborhood. Your community is changing. The rise of unconventional alliances as well. This is something dealing with worldwide. I don't know. This probably already was announced. Something with our allies, because Venus represents the allies as well. Okay. Now, Mars, the same day, where's our Mars? Mars is over here in Capricorn, and it's over here trining Uranus. And yesterday was a great day to get things done and be productive. So I hope you took advantage of that. Breaking a habit without any drama, career updates, money behavior changes for better, because Taurus represents the banks and money. So it was a great day to get things done. A lot of freedom, thinking outside of the box energy too. So, yes, now let's talk about today, because we're here today, but I just wanted to talk about what we had yesterday, and you were probably feeling that as it was coming. And now it changes as of today, okay? Because Mercury today enters Aquarius. Things on the news. You are today going to be hearing about a lot of protests, okay? A lot of themes about the truth and what is the truth. A lot of things about the future, themes about people. And when I say people, I mean a group of people. So, like, the Republicans, the Democrats. You know what I have to look up? The Minnesota. I got to look up Minnesota's chart because a lot of spiciness is going on for that. So go ahead, and maybe I'll make that more of a short form content TikTok, but look forward to that. But a lot of protesting with Mercury and Aquarius for the people. Okay. Now, personally, we have mental breakthroughs. We have detachment again, because it doesn't want to be attached to emotions or even people, because it wants clarity and wants the truth. Unfiltered truth telling, ideas over emotions, new conversations about networking and stimulating talks and online interactions. A lot of talking, maybe even through social media. Future planning for tech, business, communities. Yeah, and this is a very intellectual sign. So it really, really loves intelligence, future, dreams, your hopes and dreams, questioning old beliefs, and really being stuck in that. A lot of fast thinking, a lot of fast talking, a lot of journaling, anything dealing with brainstorming, anything dealing with communication and writing, but in an intellectual way. A lot of independence too, people wanting their freedom at any cost. Creative problem solving is what you're going to be going through personally, and a lot of conversations you're going to be having as of today, starting today, right? Now, worldly, again, protest, protest, protest. I don't know if I can say that enough. And it could be very intense. The sun sitting there, Mercury sitting there, a lot of intensity. You know what this actually makes me think of when we talk about the guy in the news in Minnesota? He went to the church. Oh, no. Don Lennon went to the church and was protesting. Well, he wasn't protesting, but he was with a protest at a church. There was also this guy in Minnesota, all in Minnesota. This is crazy. What is up with Minnesota? Anyway, guy in Minnesota protest in front of a mosque and put up a sign saying like Jesus first, and just fighting with religion is insane to me. Okay, like we have to respect all religions across the board. My opinion, I don't think that should be opinion anyway, and I think it's rude, Republican or Democrat, to walk into a religious space and to protest. I think that should be like a law. Like wait until, and it goes back and forth. If ICE is getting people in church, that should be like, what are you doing? Wait until they come out of church. Not saying if they're hiding in the church and staying there for days, okay, that's a different story. But you talking about a group of people. I'm just like, I'm coming to church to pray, and you coming up here to get JoJo from ICE in church while I'm praying? That's crazy. Or I'm in church and then you come and you're protesting because the preacher works for ICE. Both ways. It's just 100% disrespectful to religion. Anyway, I say that to say in the sky at the same time, we have um, Neptune and Saturn in a sign Pisces. They're sitting close together, just ridiculousness and chaos, and just a lot of restrictions happening, and hardcore lessons and karma is what you get with that. Now, when Neptune goes into Aries, which we'll talk about more later, but I just can't help to say this, you will see a lot of people fighting when it comes to religion. So this is only going to get worse. Okay. Now back to Aquarius energy, though. A lot of power struggles with media and messaging and platforms. Get ready for that. Tech policy announcements could be happening. A lot of surveillance when it comes to social media and technology with all this energy here. And we're talking about Mercury, the sun, Pluto, and Venus. All that. Oh, and it's a moon in Aquarius. Woo woo. Today is going to be a big doozy. Let's see what happens in the news. I'm sure it was happening last night and it folded on to today. Digital communities, online communities, fundraising online, because you're talking about Venus is involved, raising money, the economy, with digital. How can I don't know if I'm explaining it all. The Mercury represents messages. It represents the news, what we hear on the media and the conversations that we're having. The sun represents our ego. It also shines a light on everything. And this is all in the theme of Aquarius. So Aquarius represents AI, technology, communication, social media, the future, advancement. It also at the same time represents networks and groups and friendships, and networks, and the underdog, right? Causing protesting and rebellion. It wants its freedom. It doesn't want the traditional way of doing things. It wants new ways of doing things. So whatever was traditional is getting disrespected, which we had with the church, right? That was more of a traditional way. And now it's like, no, we're fighting for the people. And this is the new way of doing things. So just a disrespect of tradition. You have that energy. Now Pluto is involved, and Pluto, so the sun highlights it and it involves your ego. It could also like physical body, but it's going to highlight some stuff. Pluto brings the intensity. So now it's more intense than ever. And you had that guy going to protest and they were taking his clothes off. If you haven't seen this, you have to see it. Anyway, so Pluto adds the intensity. Venus brings the equilibrium. It brings your harmony, your balance. It involves women. It involves money, finances. So you have all that in the name of disruptions, in the name of rebellion. So get ready for that. Glitches. All this could represent a glitch, and it's really in a major way. Okay. Now, let me see what else. Oh, I want to talk about the transits of Mercury. Okay. So Mercury hits Pluto, it hits the sun, it hits Venus. That's when we have the deep conversations. That's when we have information that you don't want to talk about, but you are talking about. This is where people get therapy. They could be obsessed or fixated with things. This is where truth carries a lot of weight. A lot of focus on power, because this represents power, power to the people, and a lot of research, a lot of strategy, a lot of rebranding, a lot of releasing anything that's outdated kind of thinking. Now, on January 30th, Then Mercury will sit there and then it will come close to Venus. And before it even comes close, we'll give it like 10 degrees, right? It's already kind of close to Venus, but it will be dealing with Venus alone and dealing with that Venus. And at the same time, then it will quincunx. Well, let me see. Do I have this? No. But when it comes close to Venus, then you are talking about a lot of discussions with relationships. This is when relationships gets a little weird. There'll be Mercury is also in charge of transaction, commerce, so trade, so finances and trade through technology and AI. That will be a big theme as it gets closer to Venus. And this is also discussing about any kind of weird woman, okay? Someone who's very futuristic, out of the box. There could be an announcement about that, about a weird woman. I don't know. Weird is someone who's just very different, okay? Is what you get. Now, let me see. On the 30th of January, let me see. Do I have anything else? Okay. No, on January 30th, is when it will quincunx Jupiter. Jupiter will be sitting next to the moon. It's very emotional. It'll be very sensitive that day. Get ready on the 30th for a lot of people being sensitive. At the same time, now you have conversations about, because it's still sitting next to that Venus, about love. You have conversations. It can make you feel uncomfortable. The sensitivity, something from the past, something with your mom, something about safety and security, or literally the physical home, it's making you feel uncomfortable because you are talking about things that are very weird. You're having discussions about the future. You're having discussions about wanting to be different and you want something out of the box, or maybe you just want your freedom. And then there's a huge expansion here of sensitive energy. And it's like, why is everybody being so sensitive? So be aware of that, okay? And maybe that's a great time to say less and not to say as much. Now on February 3rd, Mercury will quincunx. What is it quincunxing? Chiron. It will quincunx Chiron. This is a great time for healing, but you have to do the work. So that God put the energy out there. It's like God made the good weather. Are you going outside to take advantage? So the weather, the vibe in the sky that day is about healing and being honest and having brave conversations that could lead to healing. Maybe speaking up, finding a voice. This is all about healing, maybe even with a friendship versus yourself and making yourself stronger. 23 degrees is really Aquarius degree. So it's really about the future, the people, the collective, or something about freedom. Okay. Now on February 4th is when now you have Mercury and it's going to square Uranus. This is where it's almost like a Mercury retrograde. Okay. Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. It's all about technology. So mental disruptions, sudden realizations, unexpected news, change of plans, tech issues, miscommunications, people are gossiping. Traditions versus the future. It's not getting along. Okay, you got to be very flexible. You got to be calm. You got to move slow, even though the energy wants to move fast. Just be flexible overall. But Mercury in Aquarius is a lot of intellectual conversations, a lot of fixed conversations. It's less emotional. Try to be filtered, but it won't be filtered. It's very honest. It's very innovative. It's very detached. Conversations about the future. Conversations about the people. At the same time, the hiccups is going to be towards the end, around the 4th, is when, before the 4th. So, like, let's say February 1st, you will start seeing a disruption in technology. Technology may not be working the best for you. So, just be aware of that. Now, on the 21st of January, let me make sure. Okay. So, on the 21st of January is when I talked about this a little bit, but the Mercury is sitting right on top of the sun. And on Wednesday, we will have an aha moment. Okay. There will be clarity to the utmost. There will be a major breakthrough. Something will be very crystal clear. You're going to be very confident in your ideas. Powerful conversations, reclaiming your voice, something that you've been planning and it's very strategic. Now it's like coming into place. This is about your mental, and there's clarity. Sometimes, okay, when a planet comes close to the sun, sometimes it's not working its best. But when it's sitting right on top of the sun, the heart of the sun, which will be on Wednesday, it will be working its best. Okay. So a lot of starting something new or something out of the box, but it's mentally, or it's through words, or you're writing it, or you're signing a contract. This is a great time to speak, to write, to publish, to announce, to be online, to communicate online, to make anything decisions based on logic, on clarity, not on fear. Yes, and just claiming intellectual authority. Okay. Now, worldly, we can get something major in the news that's dealing with any of the Aquarius themes. Again, rebellion, AI, technology. Um, Aquarius also represents a form of government. So, like a group in government, like the Senate, the Congress, it represents that too. So, there could be something like that, a truth told without emotions, rebranding systems or a platform. This could be a major announcement about any type of social media platform as well. Any type of social movement. I mean, not a movement. Any announcement to that day could be about a group. So, like I like to say, the mafia, or like a book club or a sorority of some sort. It will bring something to the forefront, especially because Pluto's sitting there, and Pluto is going to bring out, ooh, this was a secret. And now there's a huge announcement. So let's see what announcement happens on the 21st. It's not going to go well until the 21st. And the 21st is when you will really see the clarity of it. Now, on the 22nd, that's when Mercury will sit next to Pluto exactly. Now, I've already talked about this already. This is the theme of the week. Intensity with Aquarius. I mean, yes, with Aquarius themes. Now you are talking about it. It's on the news. Okay. A lot of truth, a lot of mental obsession, a lot of reclaiming your voice, a lot of detachment, a lot of strategic thinking, a lot of mental purging, a lot of speaking the truth. Okay. It just gets more intense as it gets closer to Pluto. Okay. So get ready for people being kind of cold. Aquarius is in a winter. It's very cold energy, but there's clear communication about the truth. It's not really gossip. So it's not on that level. Mercury's not retrograding, but there is a lot of truth speaking and being stuck in your ways. Okay. All the people who will be feeling this the most are all my Aquarius. If you have any Aquarius placements, this is all my Aquarius are going to be feeling this the most. They'll probably be talking the most. Something big will be happening to all my Aquarius. My Leos, you have a lot of opposition. If you have any Leo placements, this whole week there's a lot of oppositions. It's like, what's going on? There's no balance. You have to create a balance between the Leo energy and the Mercury energy. So if you have a Mars in Leo and you like to really stand on stage and everyone look at me, people are going to be like, it's not about you, it's about the group. And you need to try to find a balance about that when you're trying to achieve things. Okay. So I can't go for each planet, but I just want you to understand that's just an example. Now, the people who are not getting along with this energy is all my Taurus placements and all my Scorpio placements. There's going to be a challenge with you guys as well. So if you have a moon in Scorpio, there is an emotional thing that you're trying to be stuck with. You're not trying to change emotionally. And there's an intensity here. At the same time, the sun is highlighting something. This happens every time it's Aquarius season, but it's just because Pluto's involved. There's intensity, and this is if you have any early degrees of any of these planets. But if you don't, you still have some challenges. Okay, very mild because Mercury moves fast. The sun moves every day. Venus is a benefic planet, so it shouldn't be hurting you that bad. But just know there's some challenges if you are any have any Taurus placements. It's definitely something that you don't want to change in and you're stuck. But Uranus was in that Taurus energy, so you should be learning how to be flexible. All right. Now, on the 23rd this week, not only did we have all the other planets in Aquarius, but now we have Mars in Aquarius. And we're still talking about the same week. Now, when you're talking about war, when you're talking about aggression, when you're talking about fighting and conflict, now it gets more intense. So, like I said earlier, how they were protesting inside a church, now this gets more intense. Mars sitting close. Once Mars on the 23rd sits close to Pluto, whoo, okay. Action meets rebellion, courage and independence. Mars represents sharp objects. It represents blood. It's the god of war energy. It is, let me see, sharp objects, army, military. You get all that, okay? Um, but now you're not asking for permission. You're like, no, we're gonna rebel in at church. We're not gonna ask anyone. We're just gonna and Aquarius energy moves very fast. So it's gonna move very, very fast. Standing up for your beliefs, action through ideas, not emotions. It's not an angry energy, but it's very like matter of fact. Like, this is what we think, this is what we're doing, and communicating and fighting through technology, fighting through social media. All the people, if you thought they were annoying on social media now, that's me. Okay. I think people are annoying on social media when they're like, the Bloods are doing this and the Crips are doing this. It's going to be more intense. And you think this, a lot of that. So get ready to, a lot of mental courage, though, and a lot of liberation about in action, about freedom, too. So you get that. Now, worldly protests, digital activism, sudden policy or rule changes because the government could be getting some pushback because things are outdated. Let's change the system. Again, technology, cyber hacking, digital warfare, military. They will be more intellectual. Not as much secretive, depending on the country, if it's in their 12th house or is dealing with some other stuff, but I would think that the military across the board, all this war that we're having, is going to be something very futuristic that we'll see happening with war. Mars sitting next to Pluto also represents intense aggression, a lot of power. I want power energy. So get ready for that. But a lot of radical ideas, collective anger. The group is angry. Get ready for that. Now, I just want to talk about while Mars is in Aquarius, it's going to sit next to all of these planets, right? When it sits next to these planets. And at the same time, it will be sextiling Neptune when Neptune gets in Aries. It will be sextiling because Neptune later on Monday will go into Aries. So there is that energy, but you feel compelled to not sit on the sidelines. You're like, I want to rebel. I'm going to go to that strike. It's giving Black Lives Matter kind of energy. All that. Yes. So get ready for that. But at the same time, there's intuitive energy. There's compassion for self, or there's compassion for someone who's fighting. You will get that because that Neptune in Aries represents like loving the person who is fighting, loving the strong leader, and whoever's rebelling and are doing it on their own, they're going to get a lot of compassion around this. Okay. Now, around February 12th, though, if we fast forward to the 12th, while Mars is in the sign Aquarius, then we get that it will quincunx Jupiter. So again, this non-sensitive energy of aggression and war and fighting is going to disrupt something dealing with Cancer. Cancer represents home and safety. So it could be like if your country, you're at home, there is a disruption here and it makes people very uncomfortable. You realize you can't save everyone, tensions between independence and emotional obligation, overextending when it comes to family, and there's a community that you care about. So it's the energy of like not caring about the home, but caring about the people. You get that with a lot of Aquarius energy, okay? Quiet backtracking on early bold actions because you are retrograding. So there's something coming back from the past as well, okay? So get ready for that. That's going to be pretty big. But we feel it. The quincunx, I feel like I haven't paid attention. I need to write this in my notes, but usually it has to be exact degree. But it could be coming close when it's the collective. I know it's more exact degree when we're dealing with reading charts. But anyway, on February 16th, that was also too, I noted that February 14th is a big day. So you guys get ready for that. But on February 16th, I've talked about that in previous videos, other videos, but I'll talk about it when I talk about February, which is in the next video. On February 16th, we have a wide conjunction with the Aquarius new moon. Okay. So the new moon could be a little aggressive. Okay, so get ready for that. Again, fighting for a greater cause kind of energy. But new moons are very positive. There is, again, a starting of something, a manifestation of something, starting a new cycle. So let's see what starts this day. The moon is involved, and the moon also represents people. There is a country where the moon represents people. Is that us? That's America. So let's see how this affects America. Let me see. Second chart, let me put America here. Let's see, because USA has where is my USA? Oh, here it is. We have a moon in Aquarius, the new moon, 27 degrees. Okay, so it's not on top of our moon. Whew, okay. I'm like, what's gonna happen? I'm exhausted. But let's see what happens to the people, because this is about a collective movement, launch of new innovative policies could happen. Maybe there's something that's going to be free, liberated. Maybe there's something that's outdated that's going to be updated. This is about something that's going to grow for the next 6 months. They're going to be setting the seeds for that, about something dealing with technology or freedom or fighting for a cause. Okay. Now, on February 26th, Mars is still in Aquarius and it is going to square Uranus. When it squares Uranus, there is a surprise in where? In war, in fighting, in the army, in the military, in the police, anyone with a weapon or a knife or blood. This could be on television, okay? Or I was going to say in technology or AI. Disruption to stability, sudden anger, restlessness, an urge to break free, financial, something with the banks too, because this always represents banks. So the market could crash or whatever. There could be a disruption in any type of infrastructure that's dealing with resources, what we value, food, the food supply, protests around wages, around resources, around labor, accidents in tech as well. Okay. So get ready for that. And on March 2nd is when it will enter completely Pisces. Whew, that's a whole nother story, but we're worried about Aquarius now, okay? And Pisces goes from, you go from being rebellious to being compassionate, hopefully, or at the same time, secretive and mysterious, or a lot of illusions. So get ready for that. Now, the sun sitting next to Pluto, and that will be exactly on the 23rd, the same day that we had Mars entering Pluto. I think this is going to be something regarding war. Personally, there could be a shift in yourself. Like you're like, I want my freedom. There's something when the sun hits Pluto. This is when Trump got elected, got, what is it called? Sworn in, the inauguration day kind of energy. So a lot of strong energy with power, leaders, and something that was old changes for the future. Get ready for that. That's what happened when we had it last year. This year, the themes also could be a transformation in leader, a death of a leader, but something more futuristic, or a leader who's very weird and out of the box, a leader that you didn't even think was a leader kind of thing. But this is like someone also reclaiming their power, um, a lot of rewriting the narrative energy. You are talking about communication on a higher octave. So you have that. Pluto brings the intensity, it transforms it. So you have that as well. Pluto is also obsessed with power. The sun is obsessed with power. The Mars is obsessed with power. And now it's sitting here. Now it's at 3 degrees. This is usually dealing with siblings, your community, your day to day action. So the themes are a little bit different. Get ready for that. Major power structural structures are exposed. The sun could be highlighting something dealing with AI, social media, the government, corporations, anything kind of like that. There could be a change in leadership. There could be a collective identity crisis because you are talking about a group, and that group could be changing. Like, the Democrats are no longer Democrats, they're more liberals. I don't know. Revolutions when it comes to technology. Again, AI, the collapse of any type of outdated system, public confrontations, rise of non traditional powers, intensified focus on freedom, wanting freedom at any cost. Mars is there, so it's going to win it at any cost. When Mars hits Aquarius at 0 degrees and these two are sitting close together, there is going to be something big. So let's see what happens this week. I just would advise, stay away from technology. Just watch from the sidelines. Don't be the one involved in it, because it might be something through technology. I wouldn't get in a Waymo that day. I do drive a Tesla. I do have an iPhone. I do stream. I love technology. At the same time, I'm flexible and I know how to do things without these things. Okay. I can read a book. I can knit, I can sew. I'm just saying, this week, take advantage of the clarity and, power to the people of the energy of that way and thinking differently. At the same time, the dependence on the technology, God's going to teach us a lesson this week for sure. Okay. Now, January 26th. is what I want to briefly talk about. It's going to be next week, and this is when Neptune enters Aries. Now, I already talked about how we're already seeing what we are going to see, people fighting, coming into the church, coming into a mosque, any type of religion or spiritual movement. There is going to be war. There's going to be themes of aggression around that energy, okay? Dreams also can take action. This is about your faith, and now there's a drive and there's passion. The illusions are going to now turn into crusades, okay? So a lot of people who are living, so like it's like what are cults, and now they're fighting. It's like you were in a cult, and instead of like, I forgot the guy who made everyone kill themselves by drinking a Kool-Aid. They're not drinking a Kool-Aid. Now they got guns and are fighting because they're under an illusion. That's what Neptune and Aries will bring. Saturn will be coming very close, but this is just some predictions that we have. So personal predictions. A new personal mission awakens you, and you feel like it's a dream, but now you feel more inspired. Your dream becomes more inspirational. You identify more with spirituality. There's courage replacing confusion. Creative fire ignites any type of art. Neptune represents photography and movies. So, new forms of movies and photography, we'll see that, or any type of creativity. Faith in self returns. The way you feel about yourself and a compassion for yourself. That happens. Hurry up, because Saturn's going to come and limit you with that energy. A spiritual independence, risk taking, fueled by intuitive energy. Anger becomes sacred. Hero's journey. The themes are more about owning one's life and using it through compassion. There could be illusions about the self, illusions about your body, lying, being deceitful about your body. I did a whole little short form video on Ozempic. This is that that Neptune in Aries with Ozempic. A lot of people doing Ozempic and lying. Okay. Now, this also represents the martyr. This also represents sacrificing. And so you're going to have a lot of strong people sacrificing themselves for a greater cause, especially with this energy over here. Hero worshiping gets increased, but they're a facade. Okay. The truth about who the warrior is, who the leader is, who's actually not a cheater. I mean, not a cheater, but not married. You're going around saying you're single, but it's an illusion. That's what that Neptune in Aries. Aries represents the self, solo, independence. First, someone moving fast, someone being brave, someone being courageous, a warrior. Also, Mars is the ruler of Aries. So whatever Mars is doing, it's being very disruptive, and it's over there protesting and being very futuristic. So it's almost like you're someone online lying that you are single, and it's a facade, because Neptune brings a fog illusion. It brings the rose colored lens. It makes everything look very like, oh, everything's great, but there's an illusion of the self. I also talked about, check out the video. It's in my 2026 playlist, but it also was talking about 2025. But Neptune and Aries, check that video out. You get a lot of predictions and understand it a little bit more if you want to go deeper into it. But also, too, I talked about how the real ID happened with Neptune and Aries. I talked about that before it happened, and here you go. You have it happening now. Aries also represents weapons and guns. So the illusions of some type of weapon and gun as well. Okay. So that could be happening. It likes to cover up and likes to be in a bubble. So the bubble of the face, the bubble of the head, the illusions of the face, covering up the face. You know what it makes me think of? There's women online, and now they're showing pictures with their boo, and they're covering up that face. That is that Neptune and Aries energy too. Very interesting. But just be aware of any illusions when it comes to actions. People being very fanatic. Confusions around the ego are about a driven mission. Like, come on, let's do this, and it's like. Wait a minute, we're fighting for why are we fighting? I'm confused. Why we are fighting, okay? A messiah complex, spirituality bypassing as like action, or like you're doing something and you're using spirituality as the weapon. Let me see, weaponizing victimhood, using pain, identity, and suffering to justify harmful behavior, false bravery, ego disguised as intuition, confusing people about a divine guidance because you're being brave. Burnout from chasing purpose, running on inspiration without grounding or resting, glorifying conflict. Romanticizing the struggle, romanticizing war, romanticizing the fight, and people are falling for it. Be aware of that. I also talked about predictions of war years ago with this because we've had these before, and this is what we had. Neptune Aries can bring people to feel right about being the chosen one, even if they are wrong. So be aware of that. A lot of selfish energy with Aries, and that Neptune brings a lot of fog and non-clarity, being lost in a sauce with it. The positive side is that you will feel more spiritual. You will feel more compassionate about yourself. You will feel more compassionate about a leader. There will be a new spiritual leader of some sort coming from this. So, using your intuition and being brave with your intuition also comes from this. Okay. So yeah, that's what we have. Let me pull some cards. Let me see what comment I have here. Okay, we have spam. Hello, my spammer. Oh, don't you love Pluto and Aquarius? I'm going to pull some cards and see what we have intuitively for the week. Yeah, for the collective. And I will do horoscopes this week too. I have all of my notes ready. This week is about planting seeds. Try to move slow. That is the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. And we have the King of Wands. A lot of fighting, a lot of confidence, a lot of passion, a lot of aggression, a lot of being brave, a lot of people being moving fast with their passion. The Knight of Wands, not the King of Wands, being very creative, stubborn in a good way. So, what is stubborn in a good way? Just passionate and driven and really focus on the action. Also, someone who's very inspiring and they have a lot of drive and energy to be inspired. So, you get that this week. Ooh, you have the sun. The sun is success, happiness. So a lot of happiness and success, a lot of fertility, creating things. Maybe that Mars and that Sun is going to cause a lot of people to be driven online, driven to produce things and be creative. Just remember to move slow. At the same time, we have the Emperor. This again makes me think of leaders. So a strong theme in leaders this week. Get ready for that. Or anyone who's the self or the boss or who set boundaries. Lastly, we have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, so the Aquarius energy does not want to focus on family. No, 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 no. It wants to focus on the people. It wants to focus on the greater good, and lack of family, a lack of resources for the family, losing money for the family. Yeah, financially. Let's see what we can learn from that. Okay. The Seven of Swords. In upright, this is deception. So try not to be deceived. Okay, let me pull one more card. Try not to be deceived this week. Yeah, this is Two of Swords. So try not, be aware of the lies. Be aware of people giving you so many options because it could be draining your resources because the options are not all available. You need to really tap into your intuition, and there's a lot of fog and a lot of things moving fast. Not rumors, but a lot of word talk, a lot of communication looks a little faulty. Let's see, deception. Maybe the finances, maybe we will see what's going on with the finances, and it won't be, the lies won't be covered up. Also, too, we are blinded by the decisions of it. Let me look at this again. 10 of Pentacles, finances, resources for the family. 7 of Swords is deception and sneakiness, but it's in the upright. So it's either you're lying to yourself or there's no lies about it. There's clarity about the lack of resources happening. And then the Two of Swords is they're trying to make it seem like you have choices, but there's no choices available. Okay. Two of Swords also makes you see that you're blinded by the options. You can't see that there's multiple options. Also makes you feel like you're stuck and you don't know which way to go. You're confused on which way to go. I'm gonna put one more card. Four of Pentacles. Everyone needs to save up this week. Okay. Keep your cards to your chest. Care about your health. Move slow. Pay attention to the details. You personally. That's the collective. You personally. pay attention to what God is giving you. He's giving you blessings in the name of love and spirituality, creativity and relationships and your intuition. And then lastly, you personally, God's giving you opportunity of finances. Okay. The other stuff is for the collective. It has nothing to do with us. You are going to get some money. There's new opportunities in your physical body, new opportunities in anything tangible for you this week. At the same time, be aware of what the collective is going through with lack of resources and lack of funding. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye bye.